The old theater held its breath, a vast, shadowy space where echoes often played tricks. Tonight, however, only one sound filled the quiet. Matt's voice, a steady hum as he recited lines into the empty seats. He was a young actor, full of dreams, and the stage felt like his second home, especially when the world outside had gone to sleep. The air was cool, carrying the scent of old wood and faint dust, a comforting smell that always made him feel ready to create. He paced the worn floorboards, his footsteps soft, almost like whispers. The stage lights, usually a bright blaze, were turned down low, casting long, soft shadows that danced with his movements. They made the stage feel like a secret world, just for him. Matt held his script loosely, but he barely needed it. The words were already tucked away in his mind, ready to spring forth. Still, he practiced, wanting each word to feel just right, each emotion to be true. He imagined the audience out there, even though it was only rows of empty chairs, covered in white sheets like sleeping giants. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the character's feelings wash over him, picturing the scene in his head. When he opened them again, he moved to the center of the stage, his voice growing stronger, filling the silence. He loved this part of the night, when no one else was around, when he could truly let go and just be the character. It was a time for trying new things, for making mistakes, and for finding little sparks of magic in the words. He spread his arms wide, feeling the power of a big speech, his voice rising and falling like a gentle wave. The quiet theater seemed to listen, holding every sound he made, every breath he took. It was just him and the play, under the dim, watchful glow of the stage lights, a perfect secret shared between them. Matt's voice echoed, strong and clear, in the quiet space. He was lost in the story, his whole body moving with the words. He didn't know he wasn't alone. Far back in the dark rows of seats, hidden by the shadows, Ryan watched. Ryan was the director, the one who helped bring plays to life. He had told everyone to go home hours ago, but he couldn't leave. Something about the empty theater and the dedicated young actor still working kept him there. A soft, warm smile played on Ryan's lips. He leaned forward a little, resting his chin on his hand. The dim stage lights made Matt glow, like a single star in the vast darkness of the theater. Ryan admired Matt's hard work, his deep love for acting. He could see how Matt gave his whole heart to each line, each feeling. It wasn't just practice, it was a dance, a magic show, happening just for him. Ryan felt a quiet joy watching Matt, a feeling of pride that made his chest feel warm. He knew Matt had a special spark, a talent that shone even in the low light. Ryan watched as Matt raised his arms, his voice swelling with the words of a powerful speech. He remembered when they first met Matt. He was a little shy, but on stage, he became someone else entirely. That change, that fearless way of stepping into another's shoes, always amazed Ryan. He loved seeing an actor truly connect with a part, and Matt did that better than almost anyone he knew. A small sigh escaped Ryan's lips, a happy sound that no one heard. He felt a deep connection to this place, to the art they were making, and especially to the young man on stage. It wasn't just about directing a play, it was about guiding a talent, helping a dream grow. And in the stillness of the night, watching Matt pour his heart out, Ryan felt a pull, a warmth that had nothing to do with the stage lights. It was a feeling that made him want to stay, to keep watching, to keep smiling. He was happy to be there, in the quiet dark, just watching Matt shine. Matt was deep in his scene, his character facing a big choice. He spoke with all his heart, his hands moving to show the deep feelings. He walked across the stage, the dim lights making his shadow stretch and shrink. He was so focused, so lost in the play, that he didn't even notice the small pause he made, a tiny skip in the rhythm of the words. It was a very small thing, just one word missing, but it was enough. From the quiet darkness of the seats, a voice suddenly cut through the air. It wasn't loud, but it was clear and a little playful. "Lost a word there, didn't you, actor?" Matt froze. His heart gave a little jump, a mix of surprise and a tiny bit of embarrassment. He quickly turned towards the sound, his eyes trying to see into the deep shadows where the voice came from. He hadn't known anyone else was there. He thought he was all alone. "Ryan?" Matt asked, his voice a little softer now, a question in his tone. He squinted, trying to make out a shape in the dark. He could just barely see a figure, a bit taller than the seat backs, moving slightly. Ryan chuckled softly. "The one and only," he called back, his voice still warm and light. "Couldn't resist seeing what kind of magic you were cooking up all by yourself." He stood up, slowly, making his way toward the aisle. Matt felt a blush creep up his neck. He was a little shy about being watched, especially by Ryan, who saw everything. But there was also a flutter of something else, a strange mix of feeling seen and a little bit excited. I didn't know you were still here," Matt said, a small smile starting to form on his face. "Well, now you do," Ryan replied, his voice closer now. "And now I know you're skipping important parts of my beautiful script." He said it with a laugh, making it clear he was just teasing. But Matt couldn't help but feel a little thrill. The quiet of the theater, once just for him, now felt shared, and suddenly, much more interesting. Ryan's playful words hung in the air, chasing away the last bit of Matt's surprise. Matt watched as Ryan moved from the shadowy seats, walking down the aisle with a calm, easy stride. Each step brought him closer to the stage and closer to Matt. The faint light from above seemed to follow Ryan, making his figure clearer with every pace. Soon, Ryan reached the edge of the stage, a slight jump bringing him up onto the worn wooden planks. The soft thud of his shoes was the only sound for a moment. Now, they were both in the same pool of dim light, the vast, empty theater stretching out behind Ryan like a dark ocean. The stage lights, low as they were, made their shadows stretch long and thin, dancing around their feet like silent companions. It felt like they were the only two people left in the world, surrounded by the quiet magic of the theater. Ryan walked slowly towards Matt, his eyes kind and a little mischievous. He didn't rush, letting the moment hang in the air. Matt felt a funny flip-flop in his stomach. Part of him wanted to step back, to keep a bit of distance, but another part was drawn to Ryan's presence, like a moth to a gentle flame. Ryan stopped just a few steps away, closer than a director usually stood to an actor during a late-night practice. The air between them felt thicker, charged with something new and exciting. "So," Ryan said, his voice a low, warm rumble that seemed to fill the space between them. "That important word you missed? It's the one that tells everyone how much your character truly cares." He looked at Matt, his eyes sparkling in the dim light. Ryan then took another small step, closing the distance even more. Now, they were so close Matt could feel the warmth coming from Ryan, smell a faint, clean scent. It was a comfortable closeness, but also a little thrilling, like standing on the edge of something wonderful and new. The shadows around them grew longer, wrapping them in their soft embrace. Ryan's gaze was steady, his eyes holding a mix of kindness and a spark of excitement for the play. "It's not just about saying the word," he began, his voice dropping to a soft, low tone that seemed to wrap around Matt. "It's about feeling it. Like this." He leaned in, just a little, not quite touching, but close enough for Matt to feel his breath, warm and soft, against his ear. Ryan then spoke the missing line, the words clear and gentle, but full of a deep, quiet power. His voice was like a soft song, making the simple words sound rich and important. "It's the way you let the feeling bloom, like a quiet flower, before you even speak." As Ryan spoke, a shiver, a tiny tingle, ran down Matt's arm and across his skin. It wasn't cold, but a warm, pleasant feeling like tiny sparks. Matt found himself holding his breath, listening not just to the words, but to the way Ryan said them, to the quiet strength in his voice. He watched Ryan's lips move, so close, and felt a strange heat in his cheeks. It was more than just a lesson. It was like a secret shared, a moment just for them in the big, dark theater. "See," Ryan whispered, pulling back just a tiny bit, but still very close. His eyes, dark and knowing, met Matt's. "It's about showing the heart, not just the words on the page." Matt nodded, unable to speak for a moment. He felt a little dizzy, not from being tired, but from the closeness, from the way Ryan's voice had made him feel. It was as if Ryan had reached inside him and touched a hidden string, making a new sound. He had never felt a direction given quite like this before. It wasn't just about acting, it was about something deeper, something that made his own heart beat a little faster. He looked at Ryan, truly seeing him, not just as his director, but as someone who could make him feel this new, exciting tingle. After Ryan's quiet demonstration, the air between them shimmered with a new kind of energy. They started talking about the play again, about the character's journey and the feelings in the scene. Matt felt more awake than ever, his mind buzzing with ideas. Ryan, with his easy smile and thoughtful words, made him want to explore every corner of the story. This part, right here, Matt said, pointing to a line in his script, I always feel like he's holding something back. Like there's a secret he can't share. Ryan nodded slowly, his eyes thoughtful. Exactly, he agreed, his voice a soft echo in the quiet theater. And that's where the audience leans in. They want to know what it is. It's about that quiet strength, that hidden struggle. As they spoke, their eyes kept finding each other. It wasn't just about understanding the play. It was about understanding each other. Each time their eyes met, a little spark seemed to jump between them, a silent message that went deeper than words. Matt felt a warmth spread through him, a feeling that was more than just excitement for the play. It was a new, soft feeling like a gentle pull. Ryan would explain a thought, his hands moving slightly as he spoke, and Matt would watch, not just his hands, but the way the dim light caught in Ryan's hair, the thoughtful line of his brow. And when Matt shared his own ideas, Ryan would listen with a focused look, his eyes dark and bright, making Matt feel truly heard, truly seen. The conversation flowed easily, moving from one idea to the next, like two rivers joining. They talked about the characters, their hopes and fears, and the big questions the play asked. But underneath all the talk of art and story, a different kind of feeling was quietly growing. It was a gentle hum, a soft warmth that made the late hour feel less lonely and more special. It was the feeling of two people drawn together not just by their love for the play, but by something else, something unspoken, yet clearly felt. The quiet talk about the play soon turned into Ryan sharing his deeper thoughts, his big ideas for how the story should feel. He spoke with passion, his voice painting pictures in the dim theater. As he talked, he started to move a little, slowly, gently, closing the small space between him and Matt. It wasn't a sudden move, but a soft, slow drift, like a boat moving closer to shore. Imagine the audience here, Ryan said, his arms sweeping across the empty seats. They're not just watching. They're feeling every single moment with your character. So, when you say that line about hope, it needs to shine even in the darkest parts of the play. As he spoke of hope, he took another small step, his presence growing warmer, closer. Matt watched, completely drawn in. He hung on every word, not just for the play, but for the way Ryan said them, the light in his eyes, the way his hands moved to show a feeling. He felt like he was learning more than just acting. He was learning about Ryan, about the beautiful way his mind worked. The closeness wasn't just physical. It was as if their minds were getting closer too, sharing a secret world of ideas and feelings. Ryan then bent his head a little, looking at the script Matt held. In this moment, he pointed, his finger brushing lightly against the edge of the paper Matt was holding. It's a turning point. It's when your character decides to fight, no matter what. His voice was a soft murmur, meant only for Matt. He was so close now that Matt could feel the gentle sway of his body as he spoke, the soft brush of his shirt against Matt's arm. Matt felt a pleasant warmth spread through him, a feeling that made his heart beat a little faster. He listened, his eyes wide, soaking in every word, every gesture. He felt a strong pull towards Ryan, a feeling that went beyond just respect for his director. It was a feeling of being completely understood, of being seen in a way he hadn't known before. He was drawn into Ryan's world of art and passion, and he didn't want to leave. With Ryan's words still warm in his ears and his presence so close, Matt felt a new wave of understanding wash over him. He took a deep breath, letting the feeling settle in his heart. Then, he looked at Ryan, a silent promise in his eyes, and turned back to face the empty theater, ready to try again. He started the scene from the top, his voice a little shaky at first, but quickly gaining strength. This time, as he reached the part where he had missed the line, he paused. He didn't just speak the words, he felt them. The quiet hope Ryan had talked about, the hidden struggle, it all poured out of him. His movements were more sure, his eyes held a deeper emotion, and his voice, once just reciting, now sang with true feeling. It was as if Ryan's belief in him had unlocked something new, something powerful inside. Matt finished the speech, his chest rising and falling with the effort, his eyes still shining with the character's feelings. The last word hung in the air, a perfect ending to a moment he had finally truly captured. For a heartbeat, there was silence. Then, from beside him, a soft, slow sound broke the quiet. Asterisk clap. 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 Asterisk, it was Ryan, his hands coming together gently, a quiet applause that meant more than any loud roar. Ryan's face was lit with a proud smile, his eyes sparkling. There it is, he murmured, his voice full of warmth and approval. That's the heart of it, Matt. You found it. Matt felt a flush of pride, warm and sweet, spread through him. Hearing Ryan's praise, seeing that look of genuine happiness and pride in his eyes, was like a reward greater than any award. He had not just gotten a line right, he had made Ryan feel it. And in that moment, under the dim, watchful lights, Matt knew he had given his best, not just for the play, but for Ryan too. It was a shared triumph, a small, perfect moment of understanding and connection. Ryan's applause faded, but the warmth of his praise lingered in the air. He stepped even closer, his smile gentle. That was perfect, Matt, he said, his voice soft. Now, for the movement that goes with it. Remember how your character feels trapped, but also ready to break free. As he spoke, Ryan gently reached out, his hand lightly touching Matt's arm, just above the elbow. It wasn't a firm grasp, but a soft, guiding touch, meant to show rather than to hold. Instead of stepping back, Ryan explained, his fingers tracing a small, light circle on Matt's skin. Try leaning forward just a little, like you're pushing against something invisible, but still moving ahead. The moment Ryan's fingers brushed Matt's arm, a jolt, a bright spark, shot through Matt. It wasn't just a touch. It was an electric current, warm and thrilling, that went straight to his heart. His breath caught in his throat. The world seemed to narrow to just Ryan's hand on his arm, the soft hum of the theater, and the quick, pounding beat of his own heart. Matt looked down at Ryan's hand, then up at his face. Ryan's eyes were focused on the movement he was explaining, kind and clear, completely unaware of the sudden rush of feeling Matt was experiencing. But for Matt, this simple touch was everything. It was a bridge, a sudden connection that felt both brand new and strangely familiar. The creative energy they had been sharing, the deep talk about the play, suddenly twisted with a different kind of pull, a personal, powerful attraction. Like this? Matt asked, his voice a little softer than he intended, as he tried the small lean Ryan suggested. He felt himself leaning not just into the movement, but also into Ryan's closeness, into the feeling that was blossoming between them. The spark on his arm felt like it was still there, glowing, connecting them in a way that had nothing to do with acting and everything to do with two people. Ryan's hand lingered for a breath, a light warmth on Matt's arm, before he slowly pulled it back. But even with the touch gone, the feeling of it, the spark stayed. They stood there, very close, under the low-stage lights, facing each other. The quiet of the theater wrapped around them like a soft blanket, holding their shared feelings. Matt's gaze met Ryan's, and in that moment, words weren't needed. Ryan's eyes held a deep understanding, a warmth that went beyond just a director looking at his actor. There was a kindness there, and something else, something unspoken but deeply felt, a reflection of the pull Matt felt too. Matt felt completely seen, completely understood, not just as an actor, but as himself. The air around them buzzed, not with noise, but with the quiet hum of shared moments. The magic of their work, the way they both loved bringing a story to life, blended with this new, soft feeling that had grown between them. It was a dance of art and hearts, happening in the secret, dim light of the empty theater. The long shadows they cast on the floor seemed to draw closer, like silent witnesses to their silent understanding. Time seemed to slow down, stretching out this single moment. Matt noticed the way Ryan's hair fell, just so, the slight curve of his smile, the way his eyes crinkled at the corners. Every small detail seemed brighter, more important. He felt a sense of peace, but also a thrilling excitement, like standing on the edge of a new adventure. The world outside, with its busy sounds and bright lights, felt far away. Here on the stage, it was just them, their art, and the quiet, growing feeling that made his chest feel full. The theater, usually a place for many stories, now held just one, unfolding quietly between them. The quiet moments stretched, filled with unspoken feelings and the gentle glow of the stage lights. Matt felt like he could stand there forever, lost in a shared space with Ryan. But then, a soft sigh broke the spell. Ryan finally took a small step back, his hand coming up to gently rub the back of his neck. His smile, though still warm, held a touch of something sad, like a story ending too soon. "Well," he said, his voice a little softer than before, "I suppose even magic has to end for the night, Matt." He looked around the empty theater, then back at Matt. "It's getting late. Really late. We should probably call it a night." Matt felt a pang in his chest, a little ache of disappointment. He hadn't realized how much he wanted this moment to continue. He watched Ryan, trying to read his thoughts, trying to hold on to the special feeling that had grown between them. "Oh," Matt said, his voice barely a whisper. "Right. Of course." He nodded, even though every part of him wished he could say, "No, let's stay. Let's keep talking. Let's just be here." Ryan's eyes, however, told a different story than his words. When he looked at Matt, his gaze was deep and lingering. There was a clear wish in them, a silent message that said, "Asterisk, I don't want to go either." Asterisk, it was a look that held warmth, a hint of longing, and a promise of more to come, even if it wasn't spoken out loud. Matt saw it, felt it, and his heart gave another hopeful flutter. The unspoken words in Ryan's eyes were louder than any spoken farewell. "Get some rest," Ryan added, his voice a little rougher now, as if trying to push away the feelings. He turned to walk towards the edge of the stage, but his eyes stayed on Matt for another long moment, full of meaning. "You were brilliant tonight." Matt just nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. He knew Ryan was saying it was time to leave, but his eyes had already told Matt he wanted to stay, and that was a feeling Matt would carry with him long after the lights went dark. Ryan turned and walked slowly towards the exit, his shadow growing long before him. He paused at the stage door, looking back one last time. His eyes met Matt's across the dim space, holding that same unspoken message, a wish to stay, a promise for tomorrow. Then, with a small, knowing smile, he was gone, and the theater was quiet once more, but no longer truly empty. Matt stood on the stage, the coolness of the air no longer chilling, but soft and gentle against his skin. The spark from Ryan's touch still tingled on his arm, a warm reminder of the magic that had just unfolded. He felt a strong, deep pull toward Ryan, a feeling that had blossomed under the soft glow of the stage lights. It was more than just the respect he had for his director. It was a feeling of wonder, of a heart opening to something new and exciting. He knew, without a doubt, that this night had changed something important between them. It wasn't just a late-night practice session. It was a moment where art and feelings had twisted together, making a new kind of connection. Their shared love for the play, for the stories they brought to life, had been the bridge. It had allowed them to be vulnerable, to connect in ways they hadn't expected. Matt walked to the edge of the stage, looking out at the rows of empty seats. They no longer felt like sleeping giants, but like silent witnesses to a beautiful secret. He smiled himself, a soft, happy smile. The quiet of the theater now held a different kind of music, a hopeful hum that spoke of possibilities. He looked at the spot where Ryan had stood, then at the door where he had left. A warmth spread through his chest, like a gentle sunbeam. He knew this was just the beginning. The play would continue, and with it, the story of Matt and Ryan, two people brought together by art and by something even more special. He felt excited for what was to come, for the next time their eyes would meet, for the next time their creative spirits would dance together, and for the growing feeling that now tied them to each other. With a final look around the beloved theater, Matt turned and walked off the stage, carrying the memory of the night like a precious treasure.